When I trained my body, people called me strong. But strength in the body means nothing if the mind is weak. Your body is only as powerful as the mind that commands it. I learned this the hard way. Every punch I threw, every kick I delivered, every battle I fought, none of it mattered until I mastered my mind. I faced injuries, defeats, and moments when quitting seemed easier, but each time, I forged my thoughts into weapons sharper than any blade. The mind is the general, the body is the soldier. Without the general's command, the soldier is useless. Today, I will give you my 12 mind training laws, the same principles I used to destroy all weakness inside me. Listen closely, because if you apply them, no challenge will ever break you again. 1. Law of absolute self-awareness. Before you can master anything, a skill, a fight, a career, you must first master yourself. This is where most people fail, because they spend their lives looking outward, never inward. I spent years in front of the mirror, not to admire my muscles or see how strong I looked, but to study what was hidden beneath the surface. I wanted to see the truth. I examined my movements, but more importantly, I examined my mind. I asked myself, why did I hesitate there? Why did I feel fear in that moment? Why did I react with anger instead of clarity? These questions made me uncomfortable, but they were necessary. Most people run from themselves. They distract their minds with noise, with entertainment, with the opinions of others, because silence forces them to face their flaws. But you cannot fix what you refuse to face. I learned to sit with myself until I understood every shadow, my doubts, my weaknesses, my habits that worked against me. Only then could I begin to dismantle them. Awareness is the birthplace of strength. Without it, you are fighting blind, swinging in the dark against an enemy you cannot see, your own mind. But when you become fully aware of who you are, you start fighting with precision. You stop wasting energy on battles that don't matter, and you direct every ounce of your focus toward your true target. I will tell you, this self-awareness is not a one-time achievement. It is a daily practice. Every day, I check in with myself. Where am I today? What is driving me? Is it fear? Is it ego? Or is it purpose? When you make this a habit, you will begin to notice something extraordinary. You will stop being a stranger to yourself. You will know exactly who you are, exactly what you can do, and exactly how to move forward. That is the foundation of an unbreakable mind. 2. Law of mental stillness. Your mind must be like water, calm, yet ready to move when needed. In a fight, the man who loses control of his thoughts loses control of his body. I have seen strong men with powerful bodies, collapse under pressure because their minds were in chaos. They were thinking too much, too fast, letting fear, doubt, and anger cloud their judgment. That is why I trained my mind to be still. Mental stillness is not about doing nothing. It's about creating space between stimulus and response. When something happens, you do not react instantly out of impulse. You give your mind a moment to breathe, to see clearly. In combat, that pause is the difference between getting hit and countering with precision. In life, that pause can save you from making decisions you will regret. I practiced stillness through breathing exercises, meditation, and focus drills. I would sit in silence for long periods, letting my thoughts pass like clouds. At first, it is uncomfortable. Your mind wants to run, to chatter, to argue with itself. But if you keep training, the noise begins to fade. The more still your mind becomes, the sharper it becomes. You see the situation for what it is, without the fog of emotion or the distortion of panic. Stillness does not make you slow, it makes you ready. Just like water, you can be calm and reflective one moment, then powerful and unstoppable the next. The still mind is prepared for anything because it is not weighed down by chaos. Understand this: mental stillness is not about removing all movement from the mind. It is about controlling the flow. When you master it, you can slow down time in your perception. You will see the strike before it comes, the opportunity before it appears, the solution before the problem grows. That is the power of a still mind. It makes you untouchable in the middle of chaos. In my life, I carried this principle everywhere. Whether I was in the dojo, on a movie set, or negotiating, I refused to let the noise of the world dictate my state. I dictated my own state. The man who can remain calm when the world is shaking, that man cannot be broken. 3. Law of relentless adaptability. A rigid mind is a broken mind. I have seen fighters who trained for years, mastering one style, one way of moving, one way of thinking, and the moment they faced an opponent who didn't play by their rules, they shattered. They froze because the fight didn't go as they had planned. Life works the same way. It will not follow your script. It will change direction without warning. If you cannot adapt, you will be left behind. When I created Jeet Kune Do, it was not because I wanted a new style. It was because I refused to be trapped by any style. I took what worked from every discipline, every culture, every lesson life gave me, and I made it my own. If a technique was powerful, I kept it. If it was useless, I threw it away, no matter how traditional it was. This is not just martial arts, this is survival. Adaptability means you can flow in any environment, with any challenge, against any opponent, physical or mental. It means you do not hold on to what is comfortable just because it is familiar. You are willing to change your approach, your strategy, even your beliefs, if they no longer serve you. That is true strength, not stubbornness, but flexibility without losing your core. Think about water. It can crash like a wave or drip like rain. It can fill a glass or carve through rock over time. It becomes whatever the situation demands, yet it never stops being water. That is how your mind should be. In battle, if my opponent rushed in, I became a storm. If he stood back, I became stillness. In life, if a door closed, I found a window, or I built my own door. Most people resist change because it threatens their identity. They say, "This is who I am," and they lock themselves in that small box. But I tell you, who you are is not fixed. You are not a statue. You are clay. The more willing you are to reshape yourself, the harder it is for life to trap you. I adapted my body, my techniques, my thinking every single day. I never stopped learning, never stopped adjusting. That is why I was never truly defeated, because no matter what you threw at me, I could become something new to overcome it. That is relentless adaptability. And if you live by it, you will never be cornered, never be predictable, and never be weak. 4. Law of controlled emotion. Anger, fear, excitement. These emotions are powerful forces. But here is the truth. If you cannot control them, they will control you. In a fight, I have seen skilled men lose because they allowed their anger to blind them, or their fear to freeze them. I have also seen calm, focused fighters take down stronger opponents simply because they kept their emotions in check. Understand, this controlling your emotions does not mean suppressing them or pretending they do not exist. It means mastering them. Anger is not your enemy, it is energy. Fear is not your weakness, it is awareness of danger. But if you let them run wild, they turn against you. An angry fighter throws wild punches. A fearful fighter hesitates. Both will be defeated. When I trained, I did not just train my body, I trained my mind to stay centered no matter what. Someone could insult me, try to provoke me, or even land a hit, and I would not give them the satisfaction of seeing me lose my composure. Why? Because the moment you lose control of your emotions, you hand your opponent the keys to your mind. And when they control your mind, they control you. I practice this in combat and in life. On the streets, in business, in personal relationships, people will try to trigger you. They will test you. If you react out of impulse, they win. But if you stay calm, you win twice. Once by not letting them disrupt your mind, and again by making better decisions than they expected. In my philosophy, emotion is like fire. Left unattended, it burns the house down. Controlled, it can forge steel, cook your food, and keep you alive. I learned to channel my emotions into focus, precision, and power. If I felt anger rising, I directed it into speed and accuracy. If fear appeared, I turned it into sharp awareness. This is a skill you must train daily. Start by noticing when your emotions begin to rise. Pause, breathe, ask yourself, what outcome do I want? Will this emotion help me get it? This is the mental discipline that separates a master from an amateur. In the ring, on the screen, and in my life, I carried the same truth. The man who controls his emotions controls the fight. And in life, every day is a fight. Win the battle inside your mind, and no one outside can defeat you. 5. Law of ruthless discipline. You can talk about dreams all day, but without discipline, they mean nothing. Discipline is the bridge between wanting and having. It is the weapon that turns potential into reality. And not just any discipline, I'm talking about ruthless discipline. The kind that doesn't care about your mood, your excuses, or your comfort. When I was young, I made a vow to myself. I will show up for my training no matter what. No one had to tell me. No one had to push me. I decided, if I said I would train at 6 a.m., then at 6 a.m., I was moving, sweating, working. The rain didn't matter. The cold didn't matter. A sleepless night didn't matter. If you wait for perfect conditions, you'll spend your whole life waiting. People often imagine discipline as something external, someone yelling at you, a coach pushing you. But real discipline is internal. It's you holding yourself to a standard so high that even you can't escape it. That's why I call it ruthless. There is no debate, no bargaining with your mind. The decision has already been made. When my mind whispered, "Take a break," I answered, "No." When it said, "You've done enough," I replied, "Do more." You see, discipline is not a part-time habit. It's not something you practice when it's easy. It's what you do, especially when it's hard. That's when it counts. Anyone can train when they're inspired, but the master trains when he's uninspired. That's what separates the great from the average. There were nights I would finish a full day of filming, exhausted, my body begging to rest. I would look at the clock, see I had only an hour before midnight, and I would go to the gym anyway. Why? Because I made a promise to myself to train daily, and I will not break my word to myself. The moment you let yourself off the hook once, you open the door for weakness to walk in. Ruthless discipline also means cutting out anything that dilutes your purpose. I kept my circle small. I stayed away from people and habits that wasted my energy. I didn't have time for pointless arguments, empty talk, or meaningless distractions. Every hour I had went toward sharpening my mind and body. It's not easy. It's not supposed to be easy. But here's the secret: once you embrace it, discipline becomes freedom. You don't waste time wondering if you will work today, you just do it. You don't fight with yourself over whether to push harder, you just push. Every day you keep your word to yourself, you grow stronger, not just in body, but in mind. And when the test comes, whether in the ring, in life, or in your own battles, you will stand ready. Because while others were relaxing, you were preparing. While others were hesitating, you were moving. While others were wishing, you were working. That's the power of ruthless discipline. It doesn't just prepare you for opportunity. It makes you so sharp, so ready, that when opportunity appears, it feels like destiny. And in that moment, you will know. You didn't get here by accident. You earned it. 6. Law of selective focus. Your mind is like a lens. Whatever you focus on, you bring closer and make larger. If you focus on weakness, it grows. If you focus on distractions, they multiply. But if you focus on your target with precision, everything else fades into the background. This is the law of selective focus, directing your mental energy only toward what matters and cutting away everything that does not serve your purpose. When I trained, I didn't just train my body, I trained my focus. I decided exactly what I wanted to improve, and I poured all my attention into it. If I was practicing a kick, I wasn't thinking about dinner. If I was studying a philosophy, I wasn't wondering about the weather. My mind was on the task in front of me, and nothing could pull it away. This is why my progress was fast, because my energy was not scattered. Most people fail not because they lack talent, but because they divide their focus. They chase too many goals at once. They let noise, gossip, and opinions invade their thoughts. They give their attention to things that have no power to move them forward. Your mind is a limited resource. Every bit of focus you waste is energy stolen from your true mission. Selective focus means choosing your target and ignoring the rest. In combat, if you look at too many things at once, you will miss the strike that matters. In life, if you try to please everyone, you will end up pleasing no one, not even yourself. When I was working toward my goals, I was ruthless with my attention. I refused to give energy to what did not strengthen me. This also means learning to say no to meaningless conversations, no to toxic people, no to activities that drain you without reward. Every yes to something unimportant is a no to what truly matters. The more you protect your focus, the more powerful it becomes. Think of a magnifying glass. When the sunlight is scattered, it warms nothing. But when the glass focuses it to a single point, it can burn through steel. Your mind works the same way. Scattered attention is weak. Focused attention is unstoppable. When I was building my art, Jeet Kune Do, I ignored critics. I ignored trends. I ignored what was popular at the time. My focus was on creating something effective, something real. And because I focused so intensely, the rest of the world eventually had to focus on me. That is the power of this law. When you choose your target and give it everything, the world notices. You must train this daily. Remove what doesn't matter. Eliminate the unnecessary. Ask yourself before you give your time or attention to anything, will this move me closer to my goal or pull me further away? If the answer is no, walk away without hesitation. Selective focus will give you speed, clarity, and strength in everything you do. It will make you dangerous in a fight and unstoppable in life. Because while everyone else is distracted, your eyes will be locked on the prize, and you will move toward it with deadly precision. 7. Law of pain mastery. Pain is the most honest teacher you will ever meet. It does not lie, it does not flatter, and it does not care about your comfort. It will strip you down to your core and reveal exactly who you are. Most people run from it. They hide behind excuses, avoid challenges, and choose the easy road because they fear pain. But I tell you, if you run from pain, you run from growth. When I was training, pain was not my enemy, it was my compass. Every time I felt it, I knew I was pushing the limits of my current self. Pain was proof that I had stepped beyond the comfort zone, where nothing grows. Whether it was my muscles burning from endless repetitions, my lungs screaming for air during intense sparring, or the sting of failure after a bad performance, pain was there, sharpening me. Understand this. Pain has two faces. One is destructive if you let it break your spirit. The other is transformative if you learn to master it. Mastery begins with changing how you see pain. Most people see it as a signal to stop. I saw it as a signal to keep going. If my body ached, I told my mind, good, we are growing. If my spirit felt crushed, I reminded myself, this is where the weak quit, and I am not weak. Pain also teaches discipline. Anyone can push forward when they feel good, but the real test is what you do when every part of you is screaming to stop. Those moments are rare gifts because they give you a choice: surrender and stay the same, or endure and become something greater. Every time you choose to endure, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than you thought. I trained my mind to embrace pain instead of fearing it. In the dojo, I would purposely put myself in uncomfortable positions during training. I wanted to feel the fatigue, the frustration, the burning in my muscles, because that's where the breakthrough happens. Outside the dojo, I treated life the same way. Challenges, failures, heartbreak, they were all different forms of pain, and each one was an opportunity to build resilience. You must also understand that pain is temporary, but the strength it gives you is permanent. The soreness fades, the bruises heal, the struggle passes, but the lesson and the toughness you gain stay with you forever. That's why I never saw pain as something to avoid, but something to respect. Most people try to numb their pain, to distract themselves from it. They don't realize that every time they do this, they miss the chance to grow. Pain is a doorway. If you have the courage to walk through it, you will find a stronger version of yourself on the other side. So when pain comes, don't flinch, don't run. Look it in the eye and say, I was expecting you. Learn from it, grow from it. Because the man who masters pain masters himself, and the man who masters himself can never be broken. 8. Law of mental rehearsal. Long before I threw a punch in the ring or performed a kick on screen, I had already done it thousands of times in my mind. This is the law of mental rehearsal. Your body will follow where your mind has already gone. If your mind has never been there, your body will hesitate, stumble, and fail. But if your mind has walked the path, your body will move with certainty. When I was preparing for a fight, I didn't just train physically. I closed my eyes and entered the battle in my mind. I imagined stepping into the arena. I heard the sound of the crowd, felt the texture of the floor under my feet, smelled the sweat and tension in the air. I saw my opponent's stance, studied the look in his eyes, anticipated his moves, and responded with precision. I ran the fight again and again, not once, not twice, but until it became so familiar that when the real moment came, it felt like déjà vu. Mental rehearsal is more than daydreaming, it's training. You must make it vivid. Feel the weight of your body as you move. Hear the snap of your strike. Imagine the resistance when you block or counter. Engage all your senses so your mind believes it's real. The brain does not fully distinguish between real experience and deeply imagined experience, so when you visualize with intensity, you are building neural pathways that make your movements faster and sharper in reality. I also used mental rehearsal for challenges outside of combat. If I had a difficult conversation ahead, I would picture myself speaking calmly, choosing my words with precision, and holding my ground. If I had to perform on film, I saw myself hitting every mark with fluidity, every move timed perfectly. By the time the moment came, my mind had already lived it, and so I moved without hesitation. This law also sharpens confidence. Fear comes from uncertainty when you don't know what will happen or how you'll respond. But when you have mentally rehearsed every possible scenario, fear has no place to live. You've already faced the worst in your mind and seen yourself overcome it. Understand this: the body learns through repetition, and the mind can multiply that repetition without the wear and tear of constant physical strain. It's not a replacement for training, but it is a powerful amplifier. A fighter who trains physically but never mentally is like a soldier with a weapon but no strategy. So before your next challenge, whether it's in the ring, in your career, or in life, take the time to run it in your mind. Picture it in detail. See yourself succeeding. Feel yourself succeeding. Do it until it becomes so natural that when you finally step into reality, it feels like you've already won. That is the power of mental rehearsal. It programs victory into your mind so deeply that when the moment comes, you are not trying to become ready. You already are. 9. Law of truth over comfort. Most people do not want the truth. They want comfort. They want to be told they are good enough, that they are doing fine, that they don't need to change. But I tell you this: comfort is a slow poison. It makes you soft. It dulls your edge. It feeds your ego while starving your growth. If you want to be strong, truly strong, you must choose truth, even when it cuts deep. When I trained, I didn't surround myself with people who told me I was perfect. I surrounded myself with those who exposed my weaknesses. If my guard was low, I wanted to hear it. If my strike lacked power, I wanted it pointed out. If my conditioning was slipping, I wanted someone to tell me straight. Why? Because the truth, no matter how uncomfortable, gave me the chance to improve. Comfort will make you blind to your flaws. It will keep you repeating the same mistakes while you tell yourself you're doing fine. The truth will strip you bare, expose your vulnerabilities, and force you to face the parts of yourself you'd rather hide. Most people can't handle that, so they run from it. But I learned early on, if you run from truth, you run straight into weakness. I applied this in every area of life, not just martial arts. If I failed in business, I didn't blame luck or circumstances. I asked myself what I did wrong. If a movie performance wasn't received well, I didn't hide behind excuses. I studied the criticism, even when it stung. Truth is not there to hurt you. It's there to free you from illusions. Choosing truth over comfort requires humility. It means admitting you are not yet who you could be. It means setting aside pride and ego so you can see yourself clearly. In the dojo, I have been hit, thrown, and beaten in practice. Did I enjoy it? No. But each time, I learned something valuable about my technique, my endurance, and my mindset. Comfort would have kept me safe from those moments, but it would have also kept me weak. The truth is not always pleasant, but it is always useful. Comfort feels good now, but costs you later. Truth can hurt now, but pays you forever. And here's the secret: the more you seek truth, the less it hurts, because you stop seeing it as an attack and start seeing it as a gift. So I tell you, don't surround yourself with people who only make you feel good. Surround yourself with people who will tell you when you are wrong, when you are slow, when you are slipping. Don't look for environments that protect your ego. Look for ones that challenge it. The man who chooses truth over comfort will grow beyond limits. The man who chooses comfort over truth will live in a padded cage, safe, but never free. And I would rather be uncomfortable and growing than comfortable and dying. 10. Law of strategic patience. Patience is not sitting still and waiting for life to hand you something. Patience is preparation. It is the art of knowing when to act and when to hold back. In combat, I learned this quickly. If you rush in at the wrong time, you walk into a trap. If you strike too soon, you waste your power. But if you wait, watch, and move at the exact right moment, your opponent will not even have time to react. Most people think patience means doing nothing. That is not patience, that is stagnation. Strategic patience is active. It is training while you wait. It is studying while others are distracted. It is sharpening your skills in the shadows so that when the moment comes, you are ready to strike with precision. When I was working on my martial arts, I did not expect to master everything in a week or a month. I understood that greatness is built one brick at a time. Every drill, every repetition, every correction, it was all part of a larger plan. I did not need instant results because I trusted the process. The impatient man wants to harvest the fruit the same day he plants the seed. The patient man waters, nurtures, and waits. And when the fruit finally comes, it is strong and full. In life, opportunities are like waves. Some are small, some are massive, and some will never come again. But if you jump on every small wave without thinking, you waste your energy before the big one arrives. Strategic patience means conserving your strength, studying the conditions, and positioning yourself so that when the right wave comes, you ride it all the way to shore. I have turned down offers, ignored trends, and walked away from quick wins because I knew they would distract me from the bigger vision. The world will try to tempt you with easy rewards, but those rewards often cost you more than they give. Strategic patience is the discipline to wait for what aligns with your purpose, not just what looks good in the moment. This also applies in battle. Sometimes, you must take a hit now to set up the winning strike later. The impatient fighter reacts emotionally to every blow. The patient fighter sees beyond the moment. He plays the long game. He knows the fight is not decided in one move, but in the sequence of moves that lead to victory. Strategic patience is not weakness, it is control. It is refusing to let the world's pace dictate your pace. It is trusting your preparation so completely that you do not need to rush. And when you finally move, you do so with the full force of all the time, training, and wisdom you have gathered. I tell you this, if you combine strategic patience with relentless preparation, you will be dangerous. Because while everyone else is rushing to prove themselves, you will be quietly becoming unstoppable. And when you finally reveal what you've been building, it will be too late for anyone to stop you. 11. Law of simplicity in action. Complexity is the enemy of execution. The more complicated your movements, your strategies, or your thinking, the slower you become. In combat, hesitation is death. That's why I stripped everything down to what works: pure, simple, effective. If a movement didn't serve a purpose, it was gone. If a technique took too long to execute, it was removed. People believe that complexity means mastery. They think adding more layers, more steps, more flash makes them advanced. But in truth, mastery is the art of removal. It is cutting away the unnecessary until only the essential remains. In Jeet Kune Do, I didn't add techniques for the sake of having more. I removed techniques until what remained was unstoppable. When you simplify, you become faster, sharper, and more precise. In a fight, that means fewer wasted motions and more strikes landing exactly where they need to. In life, that means fewer distractions and more progress toward your goals. Think about it. The punch that knocks someone down is often the simplest one, delivered at the right time. The movement that saves you in battle is often the most basic one, mastered so well it's second nature. The same is true in business, relationships, or any challenge. Complexity wastes time, simplicity gets results. Simplicity also sharpens focus. When you have too many choices, your mind hesitates. When you have one clear action, you move without thinking. That's why my training wasn't about memorizing 100 techniques, it was about perfecting a few until they became part of me. This principle applies outside of combat as well. In my life, I kept my routines lean and direct. I didn't fill my day with pointless commitments. I didn't clutter my mind with useless information. I kept my priorities sharp and my actions simple. That's how I was able to give my full energy to what truly mattered. Simplicity is not about doing less. It's about removing what doesn't matter so that everything you do has maximum impact. It's about cutting the fat so only the muscle remains. It's about understanding that the more direct your action, the more powerful your result. So ask yourself, are your moves, your plans, your routines weighed down by unnecessary steps? Are you complicating your life thinking it will make you better? Or are you willing to strip it all down to the essentials so that every movement is a strike, every choice is intentional, and every effort counts? The man who masters simplicity is dangerous because there's nothing to read, nothing to predict, and nothing to slow him down. He moves like lightning, clear, precise, unstoppable. That's the beauty of simplicity in action. It doesn't just win, it wins fast. 12. Law of endless self-creation. The greatest mistake a man can make is to think he has arrived. The moment you believe you are complete, you begin to decay. Life is not about reaching a final version of yourself. It is about constant evolution. This is the law of endless self-creation. To destroy the old version of yourself daily and rebuild something stronger, sharper, and wiser. I never wanted to be trapped in an identity, not even the one the world loved. People called me a martial artist, an actor, a philosopher, but I was never just one thing. I was a student of life, always learning, always reshaping. What worked for me last year might not work for me today, and I was not afraid to let it go. Too many people cling to their past selves because they're afraid of starting again. But if you want to grow, you must be willing to die to who you were yesterday. When I trained, my goal was never to protect my ego, it was to improve my reality. If a technique I loved stopped being effective, I discarded it, no matter how much time I had invested in it. If a belief I held no longer aligned with truth, I challenged it until it either proved itself or was replaced. I refused to worship tradition if it stood in the way of progress. Endless self-creation requires humility. It means accepting that no matter how skilled you are, there is always more to learn. It means being a beginner over and over again. In my own life, I switched from one art to another, from one method to another, always taking what was useful and leaving behind what wasn't. Every change made me faster, stronger, and more adaptable. But this law is not just about skill, it's about character. You can reinvent your discipline, your resilience, your mindset. If you were lazy yesterday, you can be relentless today. If you were fearful last year, you can be bold this year. You are not locked into the habits and weaknesses of your past unless you choose to be. I want you to imagine your life as a sculpture. Every day, you pick up the chisel. Some days, you carve away flaws. Some days, you shape new strengths. And just when you think you're done, you realize you can make it even better. The masterpiece is never finished because you are the masterpiece, and you are alive. This is the difference between those who fade and those who rise. The ones who fade believe they have nothing left to change. The ones who rise keep evolving until their last breath. I knew I could never stop creating myself, because the moment I stopped, life would pass me by. So I tell you, wake up each day and destroy the limits you set for yourself yesterday. Question your habits, test your skills, sharpen your mind. Become your own inventor, your own craftsman, your own sculptor. There is no final version of you, only the next, more powerful version waiting to be built. And when the world asks, who are you? Your answer should never be fixed. Your answer should be, I am becoming. You now have the 12 mind training laws that shaped me not just as a fighter, but as a man. Understand this. Strength of the body is nothing without strength of the mind. Muscles fade. Speed slows. But the mind, if trained, only becomes sharper with time. Each of these laws is a weapon. Alone, they are powerful. Together, they are unstoppable. But weapons are useless if they stay in the sheath. You must use them. Practice self-awareness until you know yourself better than anyone else. Train stillness until chaos cannot shake you. Adapt so quickly that no opponent, no situation can trap you. Control your emotions until you command every reaction. Live with ruthless discipline. Focus only on what matters, and embrace pain until it becomes your ally. Visualize your victories before you live them. Choose truth, even when it hurts. Wait with strategic patience for your moment to strike. Keep your actions simple, pure, and effective. And above all, rebuild yourself daily. Never stop becoming. I am not giving you theories. I am giving you the laws that I lived by, the principles that carried me through every challenge, every fight, every doubt. They are not easy. They demand more of you than you think you can give. But when you live by them, you will not just survive life, you will dominate it. Remember, the body follows the mind. Master the mind, and you master everything.